welcome to the Support, Cheer, and Unite podcast and interviews. My name is Gifty Kate, the founder of Ball of Mom Canada. Thank you for tuning in, and I hope the information shared in this episode helps you on your journey. Ball of Mom, as I am popularly known, is an information and resource hub for basketball parents or student athletes between the ages of 5 to 18 years here in Canada. The Support, Cheer, and Unite podcast is an informal conversation that showcases individuals, leaders, educators, coaches, trainers, and more within our sports community. Guests share their stories, experiences, knowledge, along with the great work that they are doing to support the sports families and their athletes. So subscribe or hit your notification button to make sure that you connect with me for all future episodes. And if you're looking to connect with me socially, I am available on various platforms such as Instagram, where I live most of the time, Facebook, Threads, Pinterest, or simply just Google Baller Mom or visit my website, ballermom.ca. Thank you so much, and I hope this episode helps you on your journey, and let's continue to support, share, and unite. Bye. Hello there. Welcome to the Ball Mom podcast and interview. I am your host, Gifty K, or simply just call me Gifty. Ball Mom Canada is where I provide information and resources for basketball parents, from coaches, trainers, athletes, and educators alike, for us to be able to get information that supports, cheer, and unite um, our kids in this community. So stay tuned for many more topics to come and to share with you guys. Now, pause there over there for a second. I want to relaunch my podcast and my interview with a whole new, um, same idea, but I wanted to share more with the information resource and not just sit here and rant and be like, this is my thought, my views. I am always going to come with you some authenticity and a lot of information that can help you take the necessary steps to make sure that whatever journey you're on with your child is helpful. With that being said, welcome to the revamp episode 1. And in this episode, I'm calling it, and I'm going to be talking about money, money, and the high cost of actually literally paying for student athletes to play. Not just basketball, but in all the sports, but because I'm primarily in the basketball world, that's where I'll be focused on. Okay. So it's going to be called Why, or we're calling this episode, Why is it so expensive to have my child play in a competitive sports? Why? Like, seriously, why? Well, start off with some facts and some research and some information. Um, According to a recent report that I read on Fairstone Financial Inc., all the links, just so you know, everything I refer to is in the show notes, as well as the websites once I post it up. But they found out, this is research was done in April 2024, and they found out that youth sports, primarily here, we're talking about in Canada, can vary in so many different costs for families, and it's often start from around 1,000 per child annually. I don't even know what sports that is, to upwards of $10,000, let's say. But these costs include registrations, equipments, travels, and definitely can significantly is based on the competition level of the sports that you're in. So that makes it very variable. And this report, as I stated, was actually reported in June of 2024, not April. Point of correction. Now, for us sports parents or baller moms and baller dads and kids, in addition to managing and balancing our everyday expenses, from food, transportation, clothing, everything else that we have to do, pay our bills, rent, mortgage that we have to do, um, regardless of our income and family dynamics, finding these additional funds for our child to play the sports definitely can be challenging. And if on that page, I'm with you. Okay, especially for families with more than one child, such as ourselves. We got two boys. Now, expenses, what are they? Like they are registration fees for tryouts. Currently tryout fees are ranging from some, which are good for free, to upwards of $25 just to go for 2 hours to see if you make it on the team. Some of the expenses include training. Some include camps, 1 week camp, 2 weeks camp, sessions, exhibition games or anything like that. And these are very costly on a day to day and week by week basis. I'm not going to lie, it does add up. Now, these fees, or based on the report that they provided, it definitely does not cover any additional cost that we again have to incur, like uniforms, transportation to and back of the game or tournaments once you make the team, right? Entrance fees to go watch them play, equipment like buying actual basketball that they have to play with, backpacks to keep their clothes in, shoes because they're growing by the minute, right? All those are additional fees that we have to incur and make sure that keeps a child in the sports that they are doing. Okay. Now, so I looked around and wanted to find out what in the world is going on because this is definitely not making sense to me. From when we started back in the 2015-16 or era, even then we still thought was expensive, but comparable to what it is now, oh my goodness, it's like it's jumped 50%, not even 50, like 200%. So I just wanted to find out what is truly going on and why so much, and what can we do, or what can we do if we need help. Okay. So the one thing that I came across was a survey that was conducted by Ipsos Canada, and they found that the Canadian sports, parents, all of us, and mind you, this research incorporated multiple sports, not just basketball. They were saying that on average, families are spending about 1,000 or 1,100 or so per child on sports and other activities. And the two sports, swimming, soccer, and hockey, actually three, were ranked the top choices, with basketball, oddly enough, being fourth place. So I was like, yay, ours is not that bad compared to swimming, soccer, basketball. I mean, swimming, soccer, and hockey. Great. Still, being fourth is not that good because it's still expensive. But noting that these costs that they, based on the research that they found, is mainly based on house leagues or development leagues. So the clubs that they reached out to that they provided, all these fees were affiliated with those type of tournament. So if you're a parent watching this or listening to this and your child is in house league, competitive league, this episode is for you, as well as if you plan to transition into representative or rep team. And for those already in the rep team, continue to listen and pay attention because there's more. Now, for us, as I said, in these representative, or what we call rep league or world, this is definitely not the case. 1,100 for a year. I would love to see that. I would love that, but that's not happening because as we begin the 2025 competitive slash rep club team prep academy, whatever title your club calls themselves or category that they fall into going to this winter season, you can definitely expect to see anywhere in terms of your fee ranging between 2,500 to about $7,000. Yes, you heard that right. 2,500 to about $7,000. And this is all again depending on the team or the club that your child is selected to be on based on your tryout that you went to. Now, according to that same recent report that I read, there was a link to it that provided actually a drop down PDF file presented by Canadian Tire's Jumpstart Charities. And the report is called Jumpstart State of Play Youth Report, which was um, published in April of 2024. And in this report, it says that basketball and hockey are the two most expensive sports played here in Canada, with swimming following. So, hockey and basketball. I mean, for us Canadian, we've always known hockey is expensive, but not to see basketball get into that level. I'm sure there's reasons to it with a high level of even WNBA coming here in Canada next year, in 2 years. All of the Canadian male athletes, all the Canadian female athletes in WNBA, at the university level, NCAA, all of that. I mean, the increase and the love is there. Plus, the talent here is getting better and better. So it's understandable that it's one of the top two highly expensive sports in Canada that is being played. Again, followed by swimming, which I wish I knew how to swim properly. um, and then, you know, for those who say, okay, I don't want it anymore, just for tracking purposes, the two least expensive are track and field, flag football, and skateboarding. And those because of the not expensive requirement for their equipment or anything like that. Trainings are there, but it's not expensive comparable to the basketball and the hockey world. Okay. Now, so what does this mean? Like, seriously, what does this mean? And why are we seeing such high costs? With us parents feeling like we are the one that have to cover all of these fees and costs. Okay. Now, what I wanted to do is break down some of the costs that I've come across, that I've seen, that I've based on your welcome letters, based on conversations with other people and coaches and trainers and managers. They're also feeling the pinch. Whether it's coming out of their pocket, that's a whole topic. Whether it's coming out of our topic, we know that for sure. We have to pay because if we don't pay, club doesn't go on. We know that it's a cycle. So here's some of the breakdown of what's causing the cost to be so high, especially in this upcoming season. And the first one is literally registration fee. And the registration fee is not us parents registering fee, but the club's registration fee. So their fees means that they have to pay a specific rate in order for them to participate in certain tournaments or leagues. Now, for this 2020 24 for the 2024 summer season here in Ontario, the fees range to participate in any of these leagues. It ranged from like $700 to upwards of 900, close to 1,000, somewhere even over 1,000 plus for your team to play in this tournament or leagues. Now, depending on that league's um, level, whether it be their historical competitiveness, their exposure capabilities, and the years of experience that they have, or how their who their trainers are, or the accolades they had, the experiences that they have, these fees definitely vary season by season. So you can definitely expect to see them going higher and higher. Sadly, as I like, I didn't want to say that, but it is. It's going to go higher, sadly. And the reason is because there's the registration fees keep going up. Now, why does it cost so much to register? Well, from what I know and what I've seen, the tournament organizers and the league organizers, they have to rent a place to have these tournaments hold. So facilities and gym rentals have also gone up. Now, mind you, pre-Rona, and I mean see Rona, we all know that, um, many of the teams were able to rent, our local school gyms for team practices, games, and sometimes even tournaments and events. Now, when the lockdown happened and they shut off all of the permits, it made it harder for anyone to go into a particular gym. But there's always a catch, and a whole bunch of privatized companies were able to build facilities that allowed coaches and trainers and teams to go in and train at these private facilities. So there was a surge, especially here within the Toronto area, of new gyms that popped up that allowed kids to still be active and play and participate. Now, because it was such a high demand, they were able to set any prices that they want to cover their costs because at the end of the day, there was a demand for it, right? What happened after the lockdown was removed and went back to normal, quote unquote, was that the prices did not reduce. In fact, they remained the same or they continued to grow higher and higher because of cost of operation, whatever their case may be. It's a business. Okay. So these costs, along with, because they provided the teams flexible times to be able to use a facility at various times, some of them later in the night, some were early, compared to what the school was offering And even during the summer off season, schools were closed and wouldn't allow some of them in there. These private facilities allowed teams to go in there and continue to practice. So, of course, the fees go up because the demand is there. And I'm telling you, I'm fine with that. But I don't know because um, there's no management and there is no overboard, there's no governance. So that makes it harder for people to, you know, um, maintain and set price and say this is where we're going to be. This is our price point, and everybody in the same bubble. But no, everybody set their price based on what they need to cover their expenses and their overhead. Now, so crazy, right? Here to me is what I feel like it makes as parents the cost come down to us because we have to help those clubs cover their costs or recoup their costs. And that's where one of the fees have come in and made it much higher because they have to rent an expensive place that's not cheap, based on the hours to be able to cover and have practices. Okay. Same as the leagues have to rent a place to be able to hold tournaments in there at a rate of a fee. Another expense that I've come across that's causing this increase of us having to pay so much is uniforms or equipment. Okay, so the cool thing, honestly, the cool thing about us being in the basketball world in any sports is that um, is the idea of unity. And one idea of unity is where we wear uniforms, and our uniform represents the team that you're on, whether it be the color, the design. You know, when you walk into the gym, you can automatically tell this is a team, this is a club, this is where they're from. It identifies you as your brand. Now, for some teams, they've opted to repeat the same uniform, the design colors for many seasons. And honestly, those who do that, thank you because it does save us a lot of money, especially if you're returning to the same team. However, if you are new to that club, you will have to pay, fortunately, to get your uniform so that you can be part of that team. Okay. Additional costs will incur to you if you have your child in multiple teams throughout the season or throughout the term, or whatever it is, playing multiple leagues. So that's something that you also have to be careful of if that's it. Uniform fees are not cheap. Most of the people don't give you what the breakdown is in terms of where they buy from, how it is, but just know that's part of the welcoming message that you will get, that uniforms are not cheap. I mean, think about it. When you want to go buy a t-shirt or something, I don't know, they can get they get pricey. I'm sure you can get a cheaper one that can make it faster, but during the game it gets physical. Some of them may rip. So if you want good quality, majority of teams get proper resources to get good quality jerseys so it can last you through the whole season. And some may end up doing away and home. Some will do one. Whatever it is, those costs are part of what's included in your fees when your kid is playing in basketball. Okay. And then lastly, let's just make sure that we don't forget the shoes, the footwear, because these kids, let's face it, are growing by the second. You blink of an eye, they wake up and they're a lot bigger, taller, whatever. However, they're growing. And one aspect is their feet. And these shoes are not damn cheap. They're not cheap. And you will notice it more when you have to transition from the kids section to adult section for your child, for your daughter or your son. And you start to see the price point that is, hey, I'm even wearing mine from 5 years ago, still fits me. You still have to wear one. And we do have to get them the proper shoes wear because they need that when they're on the court to be able to play comfortably. Can be wearing, slippable shoes or whatever it is, sliders to play the game. Every sport has its equipment, and such as that for basketball. It is expensive for the shoes. Now, mind you, you don't have to get the latest brand, the latest versions of whichever basketball they follow, the player they follow. But whatever one you get, there is a price point for it. So that's also incurable on our end in terms of why it's costly to have these kids play this sports. Point four, I should have been numbering in before, but another point that I've come across and noticed as to why it's costing us so much is coaching fees and training camps. Okay. Now, depending on your club or your team, if they are registered as a sole proprietor, they're for profit, nonprofit, incorporated, whatever title that that team is registered as, or they identify themselves as with the government, because you don't see any of those unless you're deeply researching like I do. Um, some of them may get government support and some may not. And for those that don't get government support, they have to find a way to offset their costs because it's a business. For those that do get government support, they're also limited to what they can do with those money when they get it. So again, they have to find other ways to cover their operating costs. Hence why some of the fees ends up coming to us. Another aspect is that some of the coaches may be paid, which majority of teams will let you know upfront. Coaches are paid. It's a job. They have their regular full-time job, and they're doing this in the evening, practicing, giving up their weekends with their family to come and coach and everything. So fair enough, they do have to be paid because if you ask me to do this for free, I probably won't. Even though I've been doing Ball for free for a while. Anyways, we'll get back to that another time. But yeah, so most of them putting their expertise, knowledge, and hopefully mentoring and coaching our kids and helping them with their skills and their skill set to play the sports, they do get paid. What the fees are, you have to ask each individual club that you're on, how much is a coach's fee? Because if you're really an accountant or a mathematician and you want to break down the cost, just know that whatever it is, there's always going to be a markup that that club needs to either break even or make a profit because it is a business. Okay. So that's one reason why we also seeing high prices in there. And of course, coaches' fees are going up because they have to pay for transportation, they have to pay for gas, they got to, be able to go back and forth. Some of them have additional game reviews that they do, different things that they do to help your child. And I'm talking about the good coaches here. Just so you know, everything here I'm talking about the exceptionals, okay, which I know a couple, very few. So thank you to those. Um, and they want to make sure that these clubs are want to make sure that they are definitely profit and protecting their brand so they can control they can grow year over year and not just be a one-off 1 year thing because it's very expensive from their side. Now, another aspect of the fees that the teams have to incur includes, sometimes they have a hiring manager. And oddly enough, a lot of the managers are actually doing this for free of their own time. And it's very draining. So kudos to all of my team managers that definitely go above and beyond. Always up late, thinking beyond and trying to help us out. They're good managers. If you don't have a good one, I'm so sorry. But thankfully, I've come across a lot of good ones. And shout out to all of them. Um, Teams to keep going and be relevant also ends up having like a social media content creators. They have to pay for refs or exhibitions. And one of the highly expensive things for clubs to run is club insurance. For you to register in some of these tournaments I talked about earlier, you need to show insurance. Have you seen what insurance fees are? Never mind car insurance or home insurance, but just any insurance. They're expensive, let alone saying you're talking about insurance for a team or club where you have to put in 15 to 20 players as your people that you're covering in your organization. So if you ever have to go through corporate insurance for businesses, trust me, I've been through it when I got my business insured. It's a lot of work. So those are not cheap as well. So that's part of it, and also for them to recuperate that type of cost. Um, Again, their own travel expenses and administrative works or certifications. Maybe the coaches want to get their coaching certificate. They want to get certain validation from whether it be the provincial or federal programs. There are fees associated with those. So they find ways to also cover those costs. So that's, again, come back to the club team, again, falls on the parents. Okay. Now, although being in team, another one I want to talk about was the camps and the trainings and all those additional things that we put in. So being on the team is great. Teams have practices weekly, bi-weekly, 2, 3 times for whatever your practice schedules are. Then you have games, weekends. Sometimes, depending on how big the team is and how the coaching is or your style is or what your child's individual goal is, that may not be enough. So parents, we often end up incur additional fees by having our kids in additional training. Some club offer those. Your welcome package says 3,000, but for the next 6 weeks, we're going to have additional strength and conditioning coach that's going to do this. We're going to have a um, mental coach, a motivator, a mentorship, additional program within the already agreed upon, but those come at additional cost. So you show up, you pay 200 to do it. 6 weeks session, 3 weeks session. This has nothing to do with um, the existing training that you have with your club. Okay, so just letting you know. So those are additional fees that come in that makes it much more expensive. Now, I always caution, like if you feel that your child's not needed, depending on what your goals are, you can refrain from that and just stick with the regular team practices. Okay, if especially if cost and time is a factor on your end for you and your family, it's okay. You can let the coach know, you can let your team manager know, say, hey, we are okay with their 2 practices a week coming in, and based on their progress we will see, and then during our off season we'll do more training. You have to be honest with your open conversation and let them know. Do not feel pressured. Just because their friends are going does not mean you have to feel pressured. You can make that decision what best suits your family and your child, and most importantly, your pocket. Okay. um, with that being said, there are other factors that people don't talk about why it's paying so much to be able to have our kids play. All the other information I provided are more coming from the club and the team perspective. But for us on our end, we also have to factor in the fact that we have to pay to watch them play once they made that team, traveling to go back and forth to watch them, food, accommodation, different things. Um, Getting them to a chiropractor, getting them to a strength and conditioning trainers, getting them to a massage, foot doctor, whatever it is that they need to do the upkeep to keep them, because they're athlete. We have to keep their body, nutritionist, everything. Those additional fees come on in there. Mind you, does not apply to everybody because, again, it depends on your journey and your goal. And if your club doesn't offer those services, that's just additional fee that you're going to be incurred. But if they do offer it, just know that that's where you have those increase of upwards of close to $7,000 to $8,000 you're paying for that season. Hopefully, the clubs are paying that. Provide a lot more than what I'm saying to make it worth your while, because, as you know, I'm talking about it, it's really hard to fathom, like, why are we paying so much? But based on the 4 or 5 reasons I've listed, the cost is equally being, well, not equally, but it's being shared and it's coming from all over. And because there's no governance, it's really hard to pinpoint how do we break it. Again, cost of living is going up. Um, I also wanted to talk, and provide a little bit more suggestions now, okay? Because we know I talked about coaches and coaches' fees and camps. I've talked about the gym rentals. We really don't have any control with it. I don't know what gyms are, you know, giving it for free unless you want to go to community center, but the gyms in there are a little different. Um, Equipment and uniforms. Maybe they can buy it in bulk and repeat it 2 years, or the club can just have one uniform and in bulk. And every time somebody comes in, other than the numbers, you know what I mean? I don't know, but that's just recommendation. And I'm not a club owner, so I can't speak to that. But I just want as parents to understand when they break it down to me, this is how where some of the costs are coming in, to make it really hard on our end. Now, what can I do? Okay, my kid made a team. Baller mom's telling me it sucks because it's very expensive. My kid is on a team that he wanted to try and he made it, and now the fees coming in. I got to pay these deposits, which, by the way, I've realized is non-refundable. No matter whether they wrote it or not, it is not refundable, and I had to learn the hard way through one of my experiences. But so what can you do? Here are some suggestions. Okay, so if cost, and these are for parents where we are all thinking about cost is an issue, you can consider having your child honestly play in their school game, especially for the high school kids, even elementary. Play in their school game and just focus on their team. Even if the school is not, athletically strong, they can focus on academic, and play in the school team. Save you a little bit of time, especially if you have more than one kid. Save in there. And there's nothing wrong with taking a year or semester or season to pause, focus on academics, and have them play. Again, depend on what your ultimate goal is. This has to be age appropriate, grade appropriate, based on where your child is shooting for to be able to get to and where the competition level is. But that's something I always put in there. Don't be ashamed to have that as an option for you. Mind you, some coaches will tell you, high school or elementary school is not that great and the school board this and the blah, blah, blah. But only you know your child and your child's journey and your strength and skill set. So I would say do not feel any shame if you have to pull and say you're just going to do school only and focus on academics and let them get where they need to be. Because I always say it's their journey and what destined for them. None of us can deter that. Okay. Another thing, suggestion that you can look at is either be a grant or taxes. um, we all come from different backgrounds. We all have different jobs. Some work, some don't. Whatever how you make your money and put food on the table, that is only you to know. But there are various government grants that provides families the ability to get their kids to still play sports. What I've come across is most of these are often supports the house league slash development programs, but they could also help you with your competitive one, depending on your financial and family, statuses of how the government identifies you or which category they put you in. So programs, for example, is like Kids Sports Canada and Jumpstart. These two provide grants to help us offset our costs in registration and equipment. So basic things. They're not doing it for the fees, but they just maybe for what and how they identify what registration is. We have to go to their website. Again, all of the links are going to be provided in the show links and the script so that you can click on it and be able to take it to those page directly and get more information for yourself. And I hope everybody watch and listen here, you qualify and we offset some cost on our end. Yay! um, there is also at the federal level here in Canada, there are government programs that may help you depending on, again, your income. So next time you're doing your taxes, ask your tax person, if you do it yourself, look into it, research it. There's something called children's tax credit. Which again, if you qualify, I will highly recommend you put that in your taxes when you're filing. Keep your receipts, and that will help offset some cost and give you something back if you qualify. Again, if you qualify, and it's all based on your family income. Okay. Another one is the community programs. And these community programs, like Jumpstart and Kids Sports, they focus on these sports and activities for children. Mind you, it's not just basketball. So you go in with basketball, they're helping kids in soccer, football, volleyball, baseball, hockey, swimming, track and field, sports. So it's all sports. It's not just going to be you. And I don't know how much percentage they allocate per sports, per sector, per region, but you will only find out if you just try and apply. And anybody that has reached out to me, I've always readily shared these links to you. So if you have one and you know somebody looking, please be nice and also share with them. Okay, because it's all we can do. All right. Now, another thing that depending on, again on your family, you can try is maybe ask a family or friend to help you. I don't know. I mean, is asking for help is hard because we are asking our siblings, our aunties and uncles and grandpas, can you help me pay for so and so's extracurricular activity? Meaning the extra means I have enough money to do this, but this is something additional on the side. Can you help me? Some families are beautifully built together that they support because they all believe in that child's goal and their skill set. Some may not. So you know your family best. If you can ask for help, go ahead. If not, maybe fundraising. I remember when we used to do those chocolate almonds, which now the portion is so much smaller, but the price is more. I don't understand, but chocolate, which is so addictive too. But do a fundraising, car wash, anything. Ask your team manager, ask your coaches, ask your club, is there anything they can do to help offset the cost for the club, which would make the actual registration fee or your club fee a little bit less. Other clubs I may not have done it before. In the past, I found it very helpful, which made it very cost effective. And again, if your club They are able to get sponsorship depending on how they are registered government wise. They might be able to get companies or individuals with small businesses sponsor them 400, 500 to help off cost your fee. If you're not sure, just ask your coach or your team manager, somebody who does the accounting, who you paying to when you make that, and see if there's other ways. And if you have recommendations, step up, talk to them and say, hey, I have this idea. Can we see if it works? And because it has to be a team in unity, because you help the team offset the cost. It may help you personally, but I think it also help your teammates and the moms and the dads on that team as well too. So if you know those, speak up, share it, and find ways for all of us to offset some of these costs. Another one, and I think some of my financial friends will hate this, is most people end up going to their financial institutions and you max out your credit card. Some do a second mortgage. Again, it all depends on your child's skill set, their levels, your goals, and where you're trying to get to, where they're at. I mean, if you're just starting and you're only in grade six, he's nowhere near, let's say, the NBA. I would not recommend you maxing out your credit card just to be able to pay $4,000 or $5,000 for him to play on a particular team. Honestly, I would say save that money, keep them in a regular house league or another club that has a lower fee, and still let them keep playing because at those ages, they're still developing. But let's say you're trying to get into a certain university, a certain school in the States, and he's being scouted and looked at, and it's all these people are talking about it, but no money's coming in, and you still believe in it, and whatever it is, and that's your choice, then that's your choice. But that's just some option that some people have you look into in helping them offset those particular costs to let their kids play basketball. Um, are all these information helpful? I hope so. Is it the right thing for you? I don't know. But each family, each child is different. Everybody's journey is different. I'm just hoping that some of the information I've shared here helps you when you're thinking and questioning, why am I paying so much? Um, in the end, just know that it is a business. It is a parent funded program. They do have to make money. Majority of them will say they're not making, that's fine, they break even. But for them to continue year over year, they have to make money. And sadly enough, it's coming off on our backs. And the main thing I'm seeing is because there's no governance. There's no governance in the basketball world in doing, whether it be price control like they do with eggs and bread in the grocery store and all of those things, you know, you buy like a certain things is manufacturer price set. No store that you go to can increase the price. Like we don't have any of those. How do we get there? I don't know. I've reached out before and I've been shut down many times. But as long as your child wants to play the sports, is good at it, you see your goal in it, because being in sports, it's not only just fun and game. It is also providing a lot of mental, emotional, physical, and social support to our kids. So when you see that cost benefit of the investment, somehow that makes it a little bit okay mentally at times. Um, what hurts the most is when we don't see that investment turn out into what that team may have promised you. And again, do not take anybody's promise as promise, or as written in stone, because we're all always evolving and growing. What I recommend is you take time to understand your unique child or children's skill set and do everything you can to make sure that first they understand the game. They understand your body. They're working towards whatever goal it is. And whatever that next step is, they're getting there slowly. But know that it's not cheap. It is not cheap, no matter what your incomes are. Some people can pay the registration fee, offset one-time deposit, and not even think about it because whatever their analysis is, some of us have to do based on the pay plan and go with it because we have more than one kids. We have other factors in our lives. So every family is different. Every dynamic is different. But again, because of the cost being so high this year, I highly caution everyone, don't rush to the team that you feel like it's going to give you A, B's, and C's if your pocket can support. And if you're not able to support, pay towards that, start with that open conversation. talk to the financial person within that team, who's ever the payment's going to, and work out a payment plan. But when you do, please stick to it. Open conversation, open communication helps so that it doesn't hinder your child in still being on that team. And let's not make promises we can't keep to these kids, because if we was up to them, we will give them the world of everything. But let's be real, we can't, right? So, I mean, you have other bills to pay, you have other things to do, you have food to eat, even water is expensive. Like, seriously. So, these are some of the things that I've come across as being the reason why we are paying so much, so much, so much to have our kids play basketball. Some are within our control, some are not. But when you make that decision, um, make it, not lightly. Think about it and continue to have that conversation with yourself, with your child, with your family, and that coach or team manager, so that when the seasons start, you can commit to your commitment, both financially and in every other way. Oh, I have to also put in there that if you're looking to save, another way is, make friends with other parents on that team. And if both of you are in that same area, share carpool, share going to games together. When you have to travel out of town, share. When the kids have to travel, share the hotel. Those are things that help offset some of the costs so that we're not incurring on a regular basis. But I will go a little bit more detail in some of those things when it comes to travel and all of that as well. But I want to start off with the cost, because it's a shock. It's a very big shock this year, this season, with how price has just jumped up 500,000%, if that's such a thing, to everything across everywhere. And before you commit, or while you're committing, just be mindful of it too, you know? and have that open conversation. So, again, I'm going to put in there all the different resources that you can go to help you look into it, whether you qualify or not. And also, I'll put in there the actual script that shows you where some of these costs are coming from. And if anybody knows a way of how we can all come together, have some governance, I'm all ears. I'm always going to come from a parent perspective. I'm all ears. Let's do so. Let's find a way to help offset. And if somebody's child is not a sports and you can recommend how it's working there, please message me, email me at Canada, at Google, at gmail.com, and let's have that conversation. Okay. Um, and to close it off, I wanted to give out a nice offer. Okay. I want to offer everybody this month of October. If you're new or whatever it is, that you feel like, oh my God, Gifty, you share so much. I don't even know where it is or what to do. I still need an outlet. I'm giving a 15 minutes free conversation. Just message me. We'll book some time and we will talk it out. And then we'll see what we can do from there, because I've been there, I'm there, and hopefully I'm not there forever when it comes to the cost. I'm very economical, as we call it. It's not cheap, it's economical. Okay. And even if it's not about the finance part of it, anything you want to do, message me, email me, and let's talk it out. 15 minutes of one-to-one consultation during the month of October, offered by me, Gifty. And, you know, and to close it off again, instead of, we can feel that our investment for our kids, because of what is given out to them, let's focus that as the ultimate goal. Not because they make it into a particular team or particular school, but the growth that you're seeing in your child just by being in this sports. When you see that cost benefit, I think, to me, makes me sleep a lot better. And I hope that this information that I shared here helps you in any way, to at least understand why, it's not easy or fun when it comes to parents, um, having to pay all these money for our kids to play the sports that they love. It's not. But if you are in need of additional information again and require any support, please reach out to me and let's see what we can do, and take note of that 15 minutes free consultation I'm offering all through October. And find me. You can definitely find me on all my socials, at Ballamom Canada. Again, I am on Instagram, where I live most of the time. That's my home base. There's TikTok, where I'm still trying to get comfortable there. There's Facebook. There is Pinterest. Yes, there's such a thing. There's Threads, and there's X, and then there's email, and then there's YouTube. Oh my gosh. Okay, where am I not? Yeah. So, anyways, just search Baller Mom Canada or Baller Mom or at Baller Mom Canada, and you find a way to me. And if I don't reply to you right away, please know I am a one staff person doing it all, and I will get back to you, and we will find a way to continue to support, cheer, and unite. So, thank you guys, and episode 1 in the books. See ya. Bye.